Are you suffering from staff turnover? Too many lost business opportunities? Is your reputation at risk? If so, you know your workplace culture needs improvement, but determining how to do so and where to start is about as fun and effective as trying to assemble a puzzle with no picture to guide you. Culture Change in a Box is a show that takes you on a compelling deep dive into an effective real-time culture change process so you can begin to feel hopeful and re-energized about your business. And now, here are your hosts for Culture Change in a Box, Chris McClellan and Judy Ryan.
Well, greetings, everyone. It is Chris McClellan, the Bowtie Guy, with my good friend, Judy Ryan from Lifework Systems. I get that right most of the time, don't I?
You always do. I'm always kind of blown away
because I want to say, I want to do the LifeWorks plural.
I know, and you'll hear it because all of these clips we have of clients that they keep calling us LifeWorks.
It's LifeWorks.
It does make life work.
And you got a cool logo.
Thank you.
So when people go to your website, lifeworksystems.com, you see this really cool logo. It's kind of like the silhouette.
A little starry
person staying in. And today's topic, we're going to be about teamwork. Mm-hmm. And we just experienced some teamwork because we've been working with our files here and
sharing chocolate.
You took my teamwork. You took my teamwork away. We just shared. I went up and got chocolate. And I said, I can't have chocolate by myself. I have to share some with Judy as we get ready to do the podcast. And sure enough, that's one of our examples of teamwork.
Read each other's minds.
Well, as we're starting to do on our shows now, you've got some terrific examples from clients that you're working out in the field with now. And we're going to start the show off a little bit differently today. We're going to play a clip, and we're going to come back and talk about the concept of teamwork and why it's so important.
Okay.
The process improved the relationship with my colleagues in a very, very big way, in a very unexpected way. A peer of mine and I did not get along well, and it was kind of under the covers, and it was kind of not out in the open. But when we sat down and actually went through the process and got it out, we've come out of it as very, very strong team members. And this person is probably the person I trust the most as a peer, a huge team member, and we just get each other in ways that we didn't before. It was beyond anything I could have imagined.
Under the covers.
Yes, I know that sounds like it's redirecting negative behavior.
I thought, wait a minute, we're teamwork here, but talk a little bit about that because it really was a good example.
What's so great about that example is how misunderstood the whole situation was. Like, the reason it resolved fairly quickly is because they both had made a lot of assumptions. They both felt so stuck where they were with each other, and one of them, the woman that you just heard, said she would take a bullet for him now. So it was a quick turnaround, which I think hopefully gives our listeners hope, because so many times we have a situation or a relationship and we think there's no way this situation could be resolved. And those are the ones I love to hear. Oh my gosh, I didn't think you could turn that around. So really what is most important to me is that when we work with clients, we're pretty selective about who we work with, because to do the kind of work we ask people to do, it requires a high level of courage. It requires pretty much, in a way, and this is a squishy word, but it requires enough love that you get uncomfortable.
Well, I love the way you say that, to use love, because what was coming to my mind was exposing yourself. Mm-hmm. But that's more of a negative. Mm-hmm. But when we do this out of concept of love, care, and commitment,
yes,
then I think it broadens the path.
It's very difficult for people to do that because there's an assumption, I think, that people believe everyone else has got this figured out. And in reality, most people don't have it figured out, and they're trying to kind of fake their way through. And It's really a relief to sit down with somebody that says, look, you guys, let me help you through this, and then you'll know how to do it. And that's what's really happening with the clients who are courageous and willing and humble enough to take a look at the systems they've been operating out of and be willing to look at them differently. This particular example was a great example of how to move into a more authentic teamwork with somebody.
Right.
Because typically what we do is we stay stuck in what's called pseudo-community, which is being kind of fake. And, it's not necessarily a bad stage, but if we get stuck there, it's very uncreative.
It's hard to get out of something like that.
It can be, because we, especially depending on our temperament, we can become very uncomfortable with anything that rocks the boat, anything that shakes up the peace a little. So what happens is people often finally go to the next stage toward teamwork, which is chaos, where all of a sudden they start bumping into I'm right, you're wrong. Right?
Oh, there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of that going on today.
I know. Most people can't imagine how do you get past this. Sometimes it gets so difficult. But the whole idea of it is I'm right, you're wrong. And that is really a dynamic that's hard for people to get out of because they think they have to fix, convert, heal, or change other people so that they're more like me. I mean, how crazy is that when you think about it? But what happens is if they learn the tools we teach them, they move into a phase with each other where they stop trying to fix and change and convert each other. And it's incredible what starts to occur just by removing that control or that chaos with each other. Then people begin to create really helpful, supportive, and caring solutions together, and they're not even pushing an agenda when they do so. So that's kind of what happened with that group. And what it really takes to be that kind of person to create teamwork is that you have to be able to recognize what's going on in you and know whether or not you're going to be helpful with what you do to exercise management of yourself.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness, and then management of yourself in the face of that awareness. Sometimes we have the awareness, but we don't want to manage anything about it.
I don't want to manage myself. Can't you do it?
Exactly. That's why we want to fix, control, and convert everybody else, because we want to manage them. We don't want to manage us, right?
It's much easier to take care of somebody else than yourself.
Yeah, so hopefully these next couple of examples will give us, our listeners a little bit to think about.
Okay, let's jump right into one right now.
Okay.
So this has really helped improve because I really had to learn what am I feeling and what do I want at the moment. If it's in a relationship or if it's even a project that I'm working on, it's really helped me learn that, and that's helped me explain what am I feeling and what I want really to my superiors, to my peers, and really talk things out. And really before it was hard because I didn't know where I was. I never really took that time. And once I really started feeling that, we've been able to communicate better.
I believe this process has improved our relationship with my colleagues because we're all more open with each other now. We're not afraid to talk to our manager and share our opinions on work situations. Everything's just a lot more open and friendly and trustworthy.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. I think what I love is that young man who said, he's very humble. I think in order to learn and grow, we have to be willing to be humble to say, oh my gosh, I didn't even know my part in this. And that's really what it takes is courage. It takes willingness to take a look. And then that is that self-awareness and self-management. One of the other things that we do to help people to get along with each other and team is early on, we introduce them to a tool called the intrinsics color temperaments.
I know the listeners are going to love this part of the show.
It's really fun because it is a social intelligence tool where you become more conscious of how different we all really are. It's very similar to a Myers-Briggs or a DISC or an Enneagram, one of those personality or temperament profiles. What I love about the colors is they're very easy to remember. And I think in terms of the colors a lot. In fact, they use 4 colors, and when I even learned about my own, which is being a green, it helped me understand why I think in terms of systems and how unusual that can be.
Right.
So it gave me a sense of, wow, my gift has value to other people because it's not super common. Really, none of them are super common. It's especially in the combination of colors that we have. But I'll just give you a quick story. I had a customer who said, I can't believe that you're telling us we have to help each other feel lovable. Like, that even almost insults me. Like, she was just real put off by that. Yeah. And I said, well, I can understand why, because you're a green gold with a low blue. And a blue is the part of us that wants to focus on relationships and harmony and all of that. So to her, she's more intellectual. She's more systems and detail oriented. And this whole idea of something as squishy as making someone feel lovable just repelled her. Well, that's really understandable when your value system is focused on something other than that. So what I was able to do, because I understood her colors, is I was able to present a logical case for why it made sense. I said, imagine you send somebody into a room of people who inadvertently don't welcome you warmly, don't smile at you, forget to ask you your opinion, and just kind of look over at you dumbfounded when you speak. And you might interpret that as they don't like me, they don't want to hear what I have to say, they think I'm terrible, when in reality, they might be the same group who would otherwise say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you're letting us know what you think. So our perception can be that I'm not lovable and they don't want me here and I'm going to shut down. So her understanding from a logical perspective why it makes sense to help people feel more relaxed and lovable and will enliven them to be creative and to offer solutions. And so once she understood it through her colors, she could receive it like, oh yeah, duh, that makes sense. Oh
goodness. Yeah, because colors are so visual.
Yes, they're very
and
visual.
And relatable.
Yes.
And when you combine them with a clear theory like this,
yes.
It just so makes so much sense.
Yes, I mean, I even think of you in colors, Chris, because you are, in my view, you are a blue-orange. I'm not certain if we did the study on it, but a blue-orange is somebody that cares about relationships, cares about harmony, cares about peace in the world, all that good stuff. But you're also fun and free, and you like being in the limelight. You know, like those are all very orange-blue.
I do have a little bit of an ego, I guess.
Well, you're very expressive emotionally, and I can come across that way because I have a lot of blue in me. But anyway, the point of it is that it gives you this quick, instant ability to remember what matters to the other people around you. So we've got a few people that have some conversations about the colors and what that has meant to them.
Let's play that one.
I had and have a very good relationship with my supervisor, but the three people that I work with are all very different personalities, and so most of them being a very high blue and emotions, it took work for me to get out of my gold and get into their blue. But I can tell you that I no longer make people cry, because if they're a blue, I think about that before I speak to them instead of just going at them full gold. So it has made a difference. And like I said, I think that's one of the things that impacted me the most was the colors and thinking about the person's personality and those colors before speaking with them, thinking that through, practicing what it is I want to say, and using structuring tools.
I believe that I beat around the bush as we have the colors that we assign people, and I can't necessarily spend the time to define them, but I'm a people person. So I would operate on trying to keep unity and everything nice and kumbaya. Not that I am afraid of being bold or confronting something, but I think it felt like I was being straightforward in full disclosure when I really was taking the long way around. As soon as I shortcut that, actually it was easier, and I still can be the nice person. So that's where it brought a lot of value. And I think that transcends not just work, but every relationship you have, whether it's outside of here or just a one-time you're dealing with a salesman, any of those things. Being straightforward and full disclosure became very important to me. I was very, very honest about things, but I didn't realize I was, just kind of sliding into it rather than going straight to the point, which actually is much more efficient.
The Lifework systems helped me realize that there are different personality types and that there's areas of improvement in effectively communicating with team members. And that effective communications has helped, I believe, create a more cohesive team within my team as well as with my supervisors and CIO.
So, Judy, I'm sitting there thinking and listening to these three examples that were just provided. And I'm thinking about sometimes how difficult it is to bring a team together. But if I have this color chart of what somebody's personality might be, or actually really is, how it's got to be easier to build a team.
It is.
When you have this knowledge.
It's easier to bridge to other people. For an example, I'm a very low gold. A gold person is invaluable. They're as good as gold. They're actually somebody who wants to make sure that there's always security, stability, reliability, but they tend to be super conventional and kind of rigid. And I don't blend well with that. But when I recognize them for the gift that they bring, and I can help them to see that I appreciate them, they return the favor. So part of it is just my initial reaction, if I'm with a high gold, is to feel a little bit of a jarring as opposed to an easy flow with them, right?
Right.
But recognizing, oh my gosh, they must be really different from me because I don't feel that instant connection that I feel with somebody that's closer to my color combination. So I don't get as overwhelmed by that. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It was just fascinating listening to the 3 examples, and then because I think we all learn when we try to put ourselves in the place of people that we're dealing with is the word that's coming to my mind, but it's not a very very polite word. But when we can meet people halfway and have an understanding, I mean, it just helps foster the team.
I love how that woman said a little earlier she stopped making people cry because she probably thought, why are they crying, for gosh sakes, So I do think that one thing that is really important to remember is that no matter what your colors, no matter what your knowledge or lack of, part of this work just requires that you be willing every day to be a little uncomfortable, like to put yourself in a stretch.
And in reverse of that, it helps. It helps alleviate some of the discomfort.
It absolutely does, but you have to kind of go through.
You got to go through it. You can't.
In order to have that.
You just can't peek around the corner.
Yeah. So we try to get people in the habit of moving toward the discomfort, in a fairly comfortable way. But here's a good example of that very thing.
Let's get to your next client here.
With my colleagues, it's been pretty good, but it could have been better, and Lifeworks has given us that. We communicate now better than we ever had before. There's no tension. In the past, you would find tension among our group and others because we weren't saying what was on our mind. Now we do. If there's an issue, and I hesitate to just say issue. If there's a negative thing or a positive thing, we're more apt to talk about it now, to give each other compliments, as well as to talk about something that might not be going right. And because of that, our relationships are greatly improved.
So the most challenging part of Lifeworks for me was letting go of my passive behavior. So I am the type of person who just absolutely hates conflict. So I do not want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want to rock the boat. But during the course of Lifeworks, I've learned that really causes more damage than it does good. And it's more so damaging me as well as the relationship. So I have learned to be more open, honest, and upfront with people, and really just express what I want, how I feel, and it allows people to trust you more because you're more authentic.
So I love how she says I didn't want to wreck the boat, but that it actually caused more trouble, that she was taking such care that I always teach our clients, sometimes you can be so nice you're mean. And they really are starting to get the truth of that playing it safe is not always truly nice. It's self-protective is what it is. And so you don't have to be mean to be authentic. And that's what they're learning through the discomfort.
There's a phrase that I often like to use, and I think it applies here, but you're the expert, so you'll tell me. We don't have secrets, secrets have us.
Yeah.
And when I think about what a couple of your clients were saying, it's kind of like, if I've got to feel comfortable in order to approach somebody, and the more I keep it to myself, the bigger the issue.
Yes. So the secret has you because you're thinking you have to be comfortable first.
Right.
One of my favorite lines in a movie is, I didn't love you enough to risk losing you. See, when we really care about people, we're willing to be authentic and risk the fact that they may turn away from us. And what we're most afraid of is that they're not going to like who we are. And in reality, if we do it authentically, we are going to be fine. But we're so afraid of that.
Why do you think people are just unaware of their own behavior?
I think we've been conditioned to be desensitized to it. I think that we've been taught, stop crying, don't feel that way, don't take time for this, play it safe. We even have beliefs like I have to be safe in order to be myself. Mm-hmm. And in reality, we're only safe if we're safe with ourselves, if we know who we are and we're confident in who we are and we have our core intact, then just about what anybody else does really doesn't have that much.
Sure. We've got a couple of more examples we want to play today.
Okay.
So a coworker of mine called me over to her desk to show me something. And before she can get through her entire statement of what she wanted to tell me and show me, I interrupted her and went into my own observation. Of course, the conversation did not end on a good note. We both were a little frustrated at the end of it. So then later on, I used the tool of healthy venting, and I kind of talked through the situation with someone. And when I did that, I was able to realize that I wasn't being really receptive and respectful of her and what she was trying to show me. And using that tool, because healthy venting is not about what anybody did wrong, is about understanding the situation so that I can move forward and have a good relationship with my coworker. So then I was able to work through that process and then talk to her and get on better terms.
So what I really love about that last clip was how humble she was to say, oh my gosh, I went and got help and I recognized that I wasn't being receptive and respectful. And that's a great example of what we were just talking about, how easy it is to become unaware that we just turn another person into an object for our purposes.
Oh, goodness,
right?
yeah.
Right? It's very easy to forget that they have their own aspirations, their own ideas, their own opinions that they're sharing outbound, and we're not receiving those just because we're simply asleep to the fact that they're sending and we're to be receiving in that moment.
Does it happen sometimes when people are so intent on getting their own opinion or perception?
Yes.
You're presenting me with a work-related issue, and then I'm interjecting immediately before you even have a chance to finish.
Yes, we call that a lack of social interest. That means that we don't even recognize what is this person sending to us, and what are we sending back to them, and what is that causing for them. So it really requires that people be open and vulnerable to see when they do that without a lot of judgment.
I can see how important that would be.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got a couple more clips.
Okay.
What was most challenging for me is opening up, be able to share in order to kind of verbalize it in front of your coworkers. I think it's a challenge. So I don't know if I've overcome it completely, but I just think that seeing other people taking the plunge and being open is kind of, letting you let your guard down.
So this process has improved my relationship with my colleagues and my supervisor by dissolving this dividing line that we have prior to Lifeworks, where everybody was just in a different department. Now we are one cohesive team that works alongside each other. Lifeworks gave us all a common ground because we all come from different areas and we work on different projects, but Lifeworks really allowed us to come together and work on one thing, and it's really self-improvement, so we're all working to better ourselves and to better how we communicate with each other. It has definitely made me feel like my relationship with my supervisor, we've just become closer. We know that we're being authentic with each other, we're being very honest, very true to each other. We definitely have a much more, I would say, less of a hierarchy and more of a we're equal.
I think before Lifeworks, there's times when you have to have difficult conversations with your coworkers, and I think before Lifeworks systems, it was, maybe from my perspective, it was more difficult to have those conversations because I would stress about it and I didn't know how to approach or bring things up. And since I've had the tools and techniques that we've learned, it really enabled me to have not only a platform, but an effective way to communicate issues. And knowing that the other party that might be involved, whether it's my peers or employees or my supervisors that they're speaking the same language and we're on the same page and they understand whenever I'm coming to them and sharing a concern or going through a disclosure of something. It's just been super helpful to have a platform and tools to rely on.
It's improved both work and home because I'm in a more trusting and open environment. Then my work life is almost easier, even if there is a situation where one of our a coworker and I walk away from a conversation and we're frustrated. I can easily work it out. I can easily think through and get back to where we're on a good page. We have a good relationship. And because everything at work is so much better, it translates into home. I'm not going home and talking about negative situations or not being happy and having to recap everything that's happened throughout the day. I can just go home and enjoy life with my family, and my husband doesn't have to hear a bunch of stories.
Oh my goodness. You know what I was thinking of right as that last lady was talking about when the real board meetings happen in the parking lot.
Yes. And how much more fun it is to go home and be very present for your family because you had a good day at work.
Right.
What I really wanted with those particular clips is to just share how important it is to have mechanisms to break down barriers. It is old school to think, I can't be a parent and be a friend. I can't be a boss and be a friend. We had one of the employees get promoted up through the ranks, and she came to me and she said, I guess I can't be friends with my best friend on the team because I'm now her manager. And I said, I have good news for you. You're in a shared power, personal responsibility model. You can be friends no matter what roles you're in. You still have your responsibilities as an authority figure, but you would have those anyway to be trustworthy and to guide her as best you can. As long as you don't violate anything that you've learned in this model, you get to be friends in this model.
And that's one of the many benefits.
Yes. You can hear when they talk about the barriers breaking down that it feels like family. And in some of the clips, people are actually saying that this is more than a workplace, this is a family, and that's what we want.
So as we get ready to close this episode of Culture Change in a Box, we're focusing on teamwork and teams.
Yes.
We make a pretty good team.
I like being on a team with you.
Likewise. And I'm trying to think of maybe one or two words, maybe even three. We can even stretch it. Why creating a cohesive team is important.
Makes life work.
Like Lifework systems?
Yes, it's systems that make life work.
I just want to know our listeners, that wasn't planned. That just came very happily because we are creating a great team.
Yes, and we're creating a world where people love their lives and they can love their lives when they're in good relationships.
So let our listeners know where they can find all this great information about Lifework systems.
Yes, you can go to our website, lifeworksystems.com. There's also some great training on getmytrainingspecials.com, or you can call us at 314-239-4727. Thank you. Have a great day.
I'm Chris McClellan, the Bowtie Guy. I'm creating a life to love by being with awesome people like Judy Ryan. Culture Change in a Box is a part of the Whole Care Network. Check us out online at wholecarenetwork.com. We'll see you real soon for another episode of Culture Change in a Box. Bye-bye.